We are now at the third transaction in the order to cash business workflow, and that transaction is to create an N item master record. Also mentioned here as required. So again, whenever you create an item master, once you create it, you can reuse it multiple times. That's actually the definition of master data, is you enter it once and you can use it multiple times. So the as required is you would only enter a item master record if you're creating a new sales item. This is the end item. This would be the item that you're shipping to your customer. So let's go ahead and go create that. So as mentioned before, administrators and finance are generally the ones that create master data. However, in this case, we're talking about item masters, and most manufacturing companies lean on their engineering group to control item masters. And so this particular element is available in the engineering, finance, and admin modules. So we'll go into engineering master items. I can search my master items here as shown below. These are items previously created. However, in this case, we want to create a new number. So as I mentioned in the previous chapter, if you're creating master item, I always like to test to make sure it does not already exist. So I'm going to say this is for Henry Logistics. I'm going to do hlog. There is nothing for hlog. So I'm going to go ahead and create an item. So it's going to ask you, what is this item? Is it a finished good, an assembly, or a raw material? In this case, it would be a finished good, because in this step of the workflow, you're creating the item number for a shippable item. So I'm going to do hlog for Henry Logistics, and then generally your customer would have an item number that you would want to follow. So I'm going to do 001-01, and then this is a assembly logistics log master. Okay, go ahead and create that item. Now we chose the item class on the first screen, and that allowed us to set all kinds of attributes across all these tabs. So generally when you're creating an item master, all you really need to do is answer the questions on the first screen, and then you can make changes as needed here. So in this case, I want to specify who my buyer is for this customer, and then who the engineer is for this, and then who the quality engineer, and then the salesperson. Now you may just know these answers by default, but this allows you to set defaults for the item. So I'm just going to jump through these tabs just to give you a general introduction. If this is specific to a customer, which it is because it's for Henry Logistics, you can set the default customer. In the planning, there's all kinds of planning attributes, lead time, unit of measure. My recommendation is you just let the system drive this. However, if you know specifically what you would like to be set here, you can make changes as needed. So this is a make part because it's an assembly. So there would be no default vendor in this case unless you purchase from a vendor and immediately resell it. You can put the default vendor here. That helps your purchasing team. And then quality control. So if you do purchase this item, you can choose to set this for receiving inspection, meaning if a purchase order is opened, you can send it to receiving inspection before it goes into inventory. Then some logistics options here. These are all set by default. In most cases, you will not need to change these. If you want to add this to an item family, there are no item families set up here, so that is not needed. And then you can set yield and cost attributes. Now the whole costing module of this application runs automatic, right? So it just watches inventory as it comes and goes, and it starts to set the costing levels for this item. So I'll go ahead and click Save, and that completes this step of the order to cash workflow where we created an end item master.